Welcome to our presentation on Introduction to the Cells. Properties of life, cellular organization. All things are made up of cells. Metabolism. These are all things that living things have. They use energy to grow and move and process information. Homeostasis. Maintaining a relatively stable internal environment, many times different than their surroundings. In no cold winter's day, you strive to maintain 98.6 internally. Reproduction, number one goal of all living things, and heredity. All living things have DNA, which contain genes and determines what the organism will be like, determines what you are. Prokaryotic cells. These are the very simple cells. They first appeared around 3.5 billion years ago. Prokaryotic cells evolved from a primordial soup of the Earth's warm, young oceans. Not sure how they came about, but they first appeared in the fossil records about 3.5 billion years ago. They lack internal membranes, compartments. They don't have organelles. No nucleus, no endoplasmic reticulum, no organelles. Small DNA. They're all very, very small, about 10 times smaller than eukaryotic cells, and the DNA is just scattered around. The stuff is just scattered around the inside of the cell, and if you need to make ATP, you just kind of hope that you have enough of the stuff lying around that bumps into each other, and it gets made. Not very efficient, but it's extremely simple life. So it's believed that's the first life that came to be. Prokaryotic cell has some ribosomes floating around, cell walls, plasma membrane, and DNA coiled up inside the cell in no particular place. Eukaryotic cells first appeared about 2.5 billion years ago. They evolved from their prokaryotic ancestors. There's some evidence that some prokaryotic cells may have engulfed other prokaryotic bacteria, and instead of eating them, they started to use them as organelles, and started to use their processes. Like if a larger cell engulfed a photosynthetic bacteria, that might have been the start of a chloroplast. They all have internal membrane-bound compartments called organelles. They're much larger, and the DNA is contained, of course, in the nucleus. Here's a little drawing of a eukaryotic cell. You have a nucleus and a nucleolus, where the DNA is actually centralized in the nucleus. Chromosomes are in there. Plasma membrane, there's various organelles, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, mitochondria, lysosomes, etc. All specialized organelles doing a special function, much more efficient than prokaryotic life. Comparing them, we just looked at two pictures. Much more organized, much more complicated. It's a eukaryotic cell, much more efficient. Prokaryotic cells, very simple, 10 times smaller, much older. In Hooke, in 1665, he used a newly invented microscope to look at a piece of cork, and he saw these little boxes or compartments. It reminded him of the little rooms monks worked in, so he called them cells. Anton van Leeuwenhoek viewed a pond water and saw little things swimming around, little specks moving around. Aminicles, he called them, living protists, the one cell sized. In 1675, fast forward, almost 100 years, 150 years, and to chart tissues are made of cells. Figured out that the tissues of animals and humans are made of cells, and organs are made of different tissues. 1828, Robert Brown discovered the nucleus in an orchid cell. 1838, things are happening fast here. Schleiden determined that the cells compose every part of a plant, and in 39, Schwann determined the same thing about animals. And in 1842, discovery was made that pollen grains form from cell division. 1855, Virchow observed his observational statement that every cell comes from another cell. This all is getting close to the cell theory here. And Fleming in 79 discovered the nuclear events of cell division, called it mitosis, after a Greek word meaning threads. A lot happened in the 1800s, precipitated by vast improvements in microscopes. That brings us to the cell theory developed by Schleiden and Swan. All three parts to it. All living things are composed of cells. If you're alive, you're made up of cells, or you're a single cell. The cell is the basic unit and structure of life, and all cells come from cells. So if you're alive, you're made up of cells. The cell is the basic, smallest unit of life, and cells come from other cells. Plasma membrane is a special area that protects the cell from its external environment. It's flexible, it allows nutrients in, it controls what goes in and out. If they're too low or too high, they're allowed in or pumped out, and waste is released through the membrane. So this is a very highly specialized structure that surrounds the cell and controls what comes in and out. Too much water in, it pumps, too much water out. Sodium, food, waste, all those kinds of things are controlled by the plasma membrane. It has selectively permeable, which allows some molecules to pass out while keeping others in. Hence the term selectively permeable, meaning passing through. So it selects some. So water passes through easily, larger molecules do not. The cell has to maintain a homeostasis. H2O flows freely, but other particles need to be allowed through or actively pushed in or out.